Hey, I wanted to step in here real quick and take a quick break time just a little earlier today. So if you can join me, I am thrilled. I'm looking out for you. I'll make sure that I share your comments when I can. And it is time for Break Time Live. So I just want to go ahead and because I know you don't have much time, so I want to just jump in here and talk to you a little bit. So when we think of rest, most of us picture falling into bed at the end of the day, right? When we're just totally exhausted and just getting in the bed, pulling those covers over us, that's what we want to do. Or maybe we think of rest as having to cancel some plans because we've actually hit the wall. We can't take on another thing. We can't have another conversation. We just don't have the bandwidth to be kind. Or finally, just being still. Maybe we think that in order to take rest, we have to be still, but only because, well, really what happens is our body forces us to stop. And we don't take rest until one of those things happens, right? Or maybe something else for you. But most of us really don't, or a lot of us don't know what rest looks like outside of collapse. That's when we finally decide to take a rest. That's when we finally decide, okay, I've got to do something. I can't keep going like this. But, when I said that, it may have just stirred something up into you, in you, something that made you think, wow, you know what? I am like that. And you may have thought, maybe you said, what is she talking about? What does that mean? Right? But what I want is for you to just bear with me for a minute here, just to stick with me, because I think this is real important that you understand when you're resting and when you're not. And so a lot of us only rest, like I said, when our body forces us to, or we think that we need a mindless show or something just to help us fall asleep. And I do that sometimes. Sometimes I watch HGTV, and I'm not saying that HGTV is mindless, but what I'm saying is not engaging me in a storyline or something that messes with my emotions or anything like that. Or we're always scanning for what needs to be done. You're sitting there in your living room or watching TV with the family, and you're thinking about, and you're looking and you're thinking, oh shoot, I got to put the dishes away, or I still need to pull the food out of the freezer for tomorrow, and all those things are going through your mind. And that's what we do when we think we're resting. And the thing is, well, first of all, I want to ask you, because I said that, what is it that you're doing like that you think you're resting and you realize that you're still scanning the room, or you realize that the only way your brain can stop if you're watching something mindless, a comedy or something like that, it just takes your mind off of the drama of life, or when you're forced to. So when you think of rest, what image comes to your mind? I mean, what when I say the word rest, what actually comes to your mind? What picture comes to your mind? And what I'd like you to do is go ahead and drop that in the chat. And I want you to be honest. I mean, do you even know what rest looks like for you right now? What does it look like for you right now? And so I want to go a little deeper than this, because my first thing is to make sure you understand what rest is and what rest isn't, because I think we have this fallacy in our mind about when we're resting, and a lot of times we're really not. And I want to ask you something that may surprise you. So when I say guilt, when I say guilt, I don't mean a big kind of guilt. But my question is, do you feel guilty when you want to take a rest? I mean, that whisper that you have that shows up the minute that you sit down. And you sit down and you're like, I need a rest. and you're like, oh shoot, but I didn't take the clothes out of the laundry, and I need to put them in the dryer so I can fold those up, or I need to fold the clothes, or all the things that you didn't do that you know you had to do, and so you get back up. So I want to name a few of those things that you feel guilty about. Feeling guilty is like, I'm irritated, and that feels cold. The fact that you're irritated because someone has asked you to do something, or you have something to do and you don't want to do it. I just want to sit here. And then when you sit there, you feel guilty because you know of all the things, either somebody else is going to have to do it, or you're going to have to do it later. And so you feel to yourself, I shouldn't feel this way. I really shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't be like that. That's mean. Or what about if I don't check in, if I don't check on them, they'll think I don't care. Maybe it's a parent. Maybe it's your child away to college, or whatever it is. You feel that you have to check in on your sister. You want to check in on her, make sure she's fine. Oh, I haven't called her in a while. I need to call her. So instead of that feeling like something that you want to do, it feels like a chore. So you feel guilty about that. That's my sister. That's my mom. That's my child. Why shouldn't I want to get on the phone and talk to them? And I feel like that's one more chore to do. Or maybe it's like, if I'm not doing something useful, I'm wasting time. I could be doing something. I could be getting something accomplished. I could be calling for this appointment that I need to make. Whatever it is, maybe that's the type of guilt you see. You see the type of guilt that I'm showing you? A lot of times we don't even think that there's guilt in the background. Or how about this one? Other women carry more than I do. Her problems are deeper than mine. She's got to deal with more than I do. So you feel like for you to feel that way is wrong, because you're not carrying half of the burden that she is. That's what I'm talking about when I say guilt. Not a shout, but this little nudge that's sitting in the back of your brain that's just getting your attention and telling you, hey, yo, you feel guilty. And alignment doesn't wait for guilt to disappear. Alignment chooses a rhythm anyway. When you're feeling guilty, when you're in alignment, you do what you need to do. You take that rest anyway. So my question to you is, which one of those guilts that I talk about whispers the loudest when you try to rest? Is it taking care of others or calling in? Is it your feelings and how you really feel and you feel guilty because you're that person? Is it your productivity that you need to be doing these things? Or is that comparison with others and the things that they're going through? Go ahead and let me know. So look, even if this is on a replay, or even if you name it just in the back of your mind, that took the power of that guilt down a notch. Because you are bringing it to awareness, to full fact, this is what it is. This is what I'm dealing with. And we can't choose alignment. We can't choose a rhythm to walk through if we can't name what we're trying to dance with. So what I want to do is I want to show you one small rhythm that holds, one that can work, even when that guilt starts talking. In the back of your mind, you hear it, yo, hello, you feel this way. Even when that's trying to talk to you, by taking on this rhythm that you built for yourself, you can put yourself back in alignment. And so here's the shift. Rest isn't a prescription. Rest is a rhythm. And a rhythm doesn't look the same for every woman. So don't think because this works for her and she gets rest by going outside walking, or she rests by reading a book, that those are the things that you should be doing. Or she rests by journaling, whatever. Each one of us have our own rhythm. And it's just like music, right? The song that moves me might not be the same song that moves you, not in the same way. The dance that I step into that I'm good at doesn't mean that's the same dance that you love to do or that you move as well or fluently in, right? And so we have to think that, the dance that we step in, the rhythm that we take on is right for us and our body and our emotions and our mind. And the point isn't that we all do the same thing, because we're all different and we're all multifaceted. And even though we have some similarities, there are things that are different about us. And so the point is that you choose the right rhythm that feels so right for you, so aligned that doing it doesn't feel wrong or it doesn't feel off, that you feel like you're on. And that's when you know that you found it, that you found your rhythm. Not when it looks good on paper, not when someone else approves that, hey, yeah, but when it feels like home to you, when you can rest, that's the word, when you can rest in it, when you can sit in it, when your whole body, mind, and spirit is a part of it. And here's what I've learned, that once you find it, you don't need permission to move in it. You don't need proof. You don't need any of that, because choosing it is choosing you. When you choose to move in that dance, in that rhythm, you've chosen yourself. So let me ask you, what's one rhythm that already makes you feel a little more like yourself? Not perfect, not polished, but just a little bit more you. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, one rhythm, at one point, one season of my life, it was like going out every morning, and you hear me talking about this, and taking a walk. It's just being out there among nature. And now that's not my rhythm. When I want to rest, my rhythm is different. And so each season changes for us, maybe because of things that are going on, or to be honest, you became bored with that and you need something else to stimulate you. So you find your rhythm in that season. So let me ask you, what's one rhythm, one thing that you can think of that really makes you feel more like yourself? When you do it, you just feel like yourself, and it's not perfect, but what's one thing, and what I want to do is I want to challenge you to pick one rhythm this week, one thing this week that makes you feel good, that makes you feel more of yourself, not five, and just one, not a whole plan, and do it just for yourself. And so here's the key that I want you to really grasp. We're always talking about rhythm and the fact that rhythm can change. And for me, I need my quiet time. Here's a perfect example. I want you to understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about rhythm, and helping you understand the fact that that changes. For me, I love spending time with God and meditating on His Word and stuff like that. And for me, it takes place differently in different seasons. Like I said, one time it was out walking and being among nature, and really understanding how much of the world and life is something that we have nothing to do with. And then it became a time that I would go upstairs in the house and sit there and look out the window by myself and sit there with a journal and have that conversation. And now for me, that shows up like, well, what I like to do is have coffee and breakfast with God. And it's sitting there. It's something about having that warm cup of coffee and sitting there and feeling like we're together. And so even though my core or my foundation is permanent, which is my time with God, the rhythm of that foundation changes at different times of my life. And so right now, like I said, it's the coffee thing. So as you saw, the form shifted. What I did to enjoy my foundation shifted, but the foundation stayed the same. So I want you to pick a rhythm. I want you know what's important to you. And I want you to find a way to make that happen right now in this season of your life. What's taking in consideration what's going on in your life, right? Taking that into consideration and saying, how can I make this core, this foundation that's so important to me, that makes me feel like myself, how can I make this happen in a way that I'm taking care of me? So what is one thing that you can do? One thing that you can do this week that allows you to sit in the foundation of what puts you in alignment. And look, if you're not understanding what I'm talking, please put it in the chat. Ask me to explain it more so that you understand, because it's so important. So this week, I want you to ask yourself, what is my foundation? What is the core of who I am that keeps me in alignment, that's non-negotiable? And then I want you to ask, what rhythm will hold it in this season? What can I do to hold it this season? I want you to write it down. I want you to name it, because we talked about why it's important to name it. Say what it is. And then I want you to try it just once. And I want to hear from you. And some of you may be thinking, okay, but how do I know my core? How do I know my foundation? How do I know what's permanent for me? And I'm going to help you, because here's the question I want you to carry with you this week. What do I need to be anchored? What do I need to be anchored in order to feel like myself again? I'm going to say that again so you can write it down. What do I need to be anchored in to feel like myself again? You know what that is. But you've been so busy and so tied up that you haven't taken the time to ask yourself that. And so I'm encouraging you to answer that question. And that answer, whatever rises up in your spirit, that's your core. That's your foundation. And once you know that, you'll know how to realign. You'll know how to make that happen, or what you need to do. Because look, we're that type of women, when we have an assignment, we will move heaven or high water to make it happen. And for me, like I said, my anchor is in God. That's my steady place. The rhythm shifts with the seasons, but my core, my foundation is always the same. So that's what I want you to hold this week for yourself. To ask yourself, what do I need to be anchored in order to feel like myself again? I can't say that enough. That's an important question for you to ask yourself And most importantly, to answer honestly. Your rhythm, again, may shift with the season. What I'm saying is how you make that happen shifts with what's going on in your life. But making that happen will always call you back to yourself. And when you honor that, you don't need rest. Or I should say, you don't just need rest, because you don't just rest, you align. I am so glad that we had this quick, short break with each other, and it hasn't been too long. So now you can get back to work or whatever it was you were doing today. But thank you for being with me. And if you're on the replay, I'd love still, I will answer back to whatever you say, and what else? Engage with your comments. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.